So when we left off, Don Quixote had fought a knight in the woods, which turned out to be Samson Carrasco, who he thought was somebody else who was bewitched to look like him. He lost, thinking he could take him home, but he lost. And then he wanted to challenge a lion, and the lion basically disrespected Don Quixote, turned around and said, "I'm going to sleep." And the lion keeper convinced Don Quixote that he won the encounter because the lion didn't want to fight. So now we're on to chapter 11, the puppet show. One day, Don Quixote and Sancho stopped at an inn. Later on, a man with a green eye patch came to the same place. He wanted a room, and the innkeeper, on recognizing him, said, "Of course, I'd give you a room if I had to take it away from the most powerful duke in Spain." The man went back outside for his belongings, and Don Quixote wanted to know who that stranger so well received was. "He's a very famous puppeteer, that Master Peter," said the innkeeper. "He goes from town to town with a puppet show and a most unusual monkey who can help answer questions. The animal knows about the present and the past. You ask him a question, he jumps on his master's shoulder and whispers the answer. Master Peter then tells you what the animal said." The man came back at that moment, and the monkey got on his shoulder and started whispering without being asked any questions. Master Peter got on his knees in front of Don Quixote, and hugging the knight's knees, he said, "I embrace the knees of the most famous of all knights, Don Quixote de la Mancha, fighter of evil and savior of the unfortunate." How surprised Don Quixote was! And the man went on, "You, Sancho Panza, are the best squire of the best knight in the world." Sancho's eyes were as big as saucers, his eyes opened really wide. "Now, in honor of you both and other people at this inn," said Master Peter, "we're going to have a puppet show." The stage was set. Master Peter went behind the scenes to handle the puppets. A young boy stood by the side to explain the action and to show with a pointer the different figures that were coming on stage. There was a blast of drums and trumpets. "This is the true story of Doña Melisendra, the wife of Don Gaiferos, on the occasion of her rescue from the prison in which the Moors had her in Spain," the boy said. "Emperor Charlemagne, Melisendra's father, is coming to scold his son-in-law, Don Gaiferos, for wasting his time playing chess. Now Don Gaiferos runs to her rescue. He comes to the tower where she's held prisoner. Now Don Gaiferos arrives, and Doña Melisendra climbs down the balcony and jumps on her husband's horse." The boy kept pointing at the puppets moving around the stage, and he went on, "Oh, what bad luck! Her skirt gets caught in the iron bars of the balcony. She's hanging, not able to reach the ground." Don Gaiferos grabs her and puts her on his horse. He asks her to hold on tight so she doesn't fall. "Look at that horse fleeing," but King Marsilio has been warned and starts pursuing or chasing the couple. "I'm afraid he's going to catch up with them and bring them back tied to his horse's tail, and that's terrible." Don Quixote stood up and shouted, "I won't let that happen in my presence to the brave knight Don Gaiferos. Stop, you villain! Don't pursue him if you don't want to face me in combat." Then with his sword he destroyed all the puppets in the show. Heads, legs, arms flew in all directions. "They're not real Moors, they're just puppets," Master Peter cried. "You're ruining my show, you're ruining me." The confusion was monumental or huge. The monkey ran away. Sancho was scared. He'd never seen his master so angry before. When he finished his task, Don Quixote calmed down and said, "I'd like to see before me all those who claim that knights do no good. I have just saved Don Gaiferos and Doña Melisendra from the wicked Moors. Long live knighthood!" Master Peter was crying real tears, and Sancho, saddened by those tears, told him his master would pay for all that damage. Don Quixote agreed to pay, but he also said he was more convinced than ever that wizards were playing tricks on him. It was not the first time he had believed what the eyes of his imagination saw instead of what was real. Wonder what that means. Sancho and Master Peter made an estimate of the damage, and Don Quixote paid every last bit of it. All was well, and the damage was forgotten. They had dinner together. But who was that Master Peter? Remember the Coquillines de Pasamonte, one of the convicts freed by Don Quixote? This was the same man. Now disguised with the eye patch, he was making a living with his traveling puppet show and the monkey fortune teller. It was rumored that, before he entered a town, he would ask a few people in the vicinity or the area what was news in the area. That way the monkey would know what to tell, and that's why he could tell only about the past and the present and not the future. But in the case of Don Quixote and Sancho, no one had to tell Don Quixote de Pasamonte remembered them very well. Betty does, because that's who set him free from the king's things. At the Duke's Palace, Chapter 12. After leaving the inn, Don Quixote and Sancho traveled around the countryside for a while. One day, near a wood, they saw a large hunting party. A beautiful lady mounted on a magnificent white horse was in the center of it. Sancho, go to that beautiful lady, Don Quixote said. Tell her that I, the Knight of the Lions, kiss her hand and am willing to serve her with the strength of my arms, if her highness permits. Sancho went and introduced himself. The beautiful hunter didn't let him remain on his knees, for he was the squire of a very famous knight, she said. Tell your master that he is welcome. He may come and serve me and my husband the Duke in a palace we have near here. So beautiful, Sancho thought, and so sweet. He brought the message to Don Quixote, who immediately hurried to meet her. She, meanwhile, had called the Duke aside. They decided to amuse themselves by treating Don Quixote as the novels of knighthood said knights should be treated. The Duke, the Duchess, and Don Quixote rode toward the palace. Sancho and the rest of the party followed. The Duke himself went ahead of the others to prepare the palace for the guest's arrival. When Don Quixote got off his horse, two beautiful ladies put a scarlet robe on his shoulders. Then the corridors filled with servants chanting, Welcome to the flower and cream of knighthood. They sprayed perfume over him, the Duke, and the Duchess. In the big hall, decorated with silk and brocade, 6 ladies helped him take off his armor. After that, 12 pages escorted him to a richly decorated table with 4 settings. Everyone had a hard time keeping from laughing at the knight and the squire. There was a solemn or serious-looking clergyman with the Duke and Duchess in the dining room. Don Quixote was asked to sit at the head of the table, and the clergyman sat opposite him, or like the other side, with the Duke on one side and the Duchess on the other. The Duchess wanted to know about Dulcinea. Have you sent her any giants lately to pay respects, dear Don Quixote? She asked. Yes, your highness, he confessed, but my luck is such that one of my enemies has transformed her into an ordinary farm girl. The serious-minded priest, hearing all that talk about giants and enchantments, imagined that this must be the hero of the book the Duke liked to read often. So he said to Don Quixote, Who has told you that you are a knight, you fool? Who has charged you with the job of fighting evil creatures? Go back to your home. Take care of your children and spouse and of your affairs. Stop roaming around being everyone's laughing stock. Don Quixote stood up, shaking from head to toe. Be thankful that I respect your priestly state, he said. But tell me, your grace, why do you order me to take care of wife and children without knowing if I have any? Going through the world righting wrong and punishing evil is no easy task, but it is satisfying work. And if I am called a fool for that, say something in my defense, honorable Duke and Duchess. The priest addressed the squire next. Are you, by chance, that Sancho Panza whom this master promised an island to govern? Yes, your holiness, Sancho answered, and I deserve it as much as anyone. Host and hostess were having the time of their lives. They would not let the priest spoil their fun. The Duke said to Sancho, Sancho, my friend, I, in the name of the great Don Quixote, appoint your governor of one of my islands. Kneel, Sancho, commanded Don Quixote, and kiss his highness's feet. Sancho did as he was told, and the priest could not bear it any longer. You are all crazy, he said. I shall not set foot in this palace as long as those foolish guests remain here. So they've run off a priest and taken to a palace, destroyed a puppet show, and I wonder what comes next. Find out tomorrow.